Do you ever wonder how people finish their work at work, especially as teachers? Is it even possible? In today's video, I will go over 5 tips to finish your work at work. All right, well, I am Fleur with Aloha Monday Teaching, and I help middle school science teachers like you and me be more intentional, prepared, and refreshed for Monday and any day. So we just look forward to coming back to school after the weekend. So today I am going over some tips based on this blog post that I wrote a while ago, 5 simple time management at work tips. So I'm going to go over 5 tips that have helped me do my work at work. I will say that it takes a lot of practice and consistency, and there will be some times when you will have to take something home. So if that happens, like for me, I choose to take home things I enjoy, like planning. I like planning. I like doing the lesson planning stuff. So I don't mind doing that at home, but grading, oh, heck no, I will not take grading home. It won't get done. And so I guess when it's time to do those things on those crazy weeks, especially like end of the quarter or something, beginning of the school year, choose the things that you don't mind doing. But for the most part, the goal is to finish your work at work. So when you're at home, you do your home things with your family and friends and yourself. And all right, well, let's just get started because this is very cool. Oh, and these are things you can do at any point of the school year. So, for example, at this time, right now, I'm recording this when the second quarter is beginning. But obviously, you can use this at the end of the year, middle of the year, beginning of the year, whenever you feel like it's time to just check yourself so you can do your work at work and not at home. So you can check out this video. In the first video of the time management series, I went over some characteristics to manage your time, and this is just as a whole. So being intentional, prioritizing, and being consistent are some things that need to be in place, and this will help you at work also. So the 5 time management tips we're going to go over today are batching your to-do list and scheduling them, grading, planning and preparing materials. And I know as science teachers, we feel like, I think we probably do have more work than other teachers because we have different things to prepare for. So preparing materials is a huge one. Checking your emails and working while your kids are working, and I'll go over what that means. It doesn't mean just sitting at your desk working. So batching. This is what my to-do lists look like. I'm a paper person. I have notebooks. I have my regular planner that I use. I'm not very digital with this because I like to write and it helps me remember. So what I did here was I divided my page in half, and you can see this in the other video. One side are the regular things that happen every week. The other side are things that have deadlines or are just things that have to get done once and then they're done. And then what I do is I schedule them into my my day. So here is what my current week looks like. So our prep last school year was during first period, which was really cool. Now it's after lunch, which is still pretty cool. So on Monday, during my prep, this is what I do during my prep, which is about 59 minutes. I prepare materials and I write my newsletter. Sometimes I don't get to my newsletter every week, so I try for once every 2 weeks. On Tuesdays, I grade. Wednesdays, I do those to-do list items that have deadlines because our prep period is shorter on Wednesdays, and I grade. So it just depends on what needs to get done. That kind of thing will get done on a shorter Wednesday. Thursday is when I plan. We have our PLC time, so my teammate and I will analyze our data and we'll plan. And we'll practice our labs, that kind of stuff, make sure things work. And on Fridays, I grade and I write the agenda for the following week. So that's what happens during my prep in order for me to get my work done at work. Before and after school, so you should arrive early or as early as you can. I get there on time or just like 5 minutes early, but I just get there during my contracted hours. And after school, I stay for probably like 30 minutes after school. And those are the times like I'll prep for the day, I'll check my emails. After school is when I respond to my emails because I have more time to just sit and think, and I've processed it throughout the day. And then obviously cleaning up and things like that. All right, for grading. Now, the important thing here is that you don't have to grade everything. So say it with me. Ready? I do not have to grade everything. Yes, we have to grade, but not everything. So I grade twice a week. If I'm falling behind, obviously I'll have to grade more and schedule that in. But I grade about 2 assignments a week, sometimes more, usually more, but I grade in different ways. So here's some grading tips. Choose at least 2 assignments to grade each week, maybe more. That also depends on your school or your district if they have requirements. Ours is 2, but sometimes we grade more. Have your answer keys ready. Have them prepared before you even start grading. And that way you know your point value, you know what you're looking for, and that sort of thing. And choose your days that you're going to grade at school, not at home, at school. So 1 to 2 days that you can do that. So if you're only grading 2 assignments a week, what do you do with the other stuff? All that other work that your kids are doing. You can check for completion. So one way to do that is skim over their work to make sure that they're understanding it, like they're not way off, but then go over it with them. That way they know what they got right or wrong. And then some work is just practice. So just set your expectations so students know, like, this is for you to understand. You have a quiz coming up, and, even though you're not grading it, and that way they still do it seriously and correctly. And then you can also check those for completion, skim it over, make sure they're getting it, go over it with them so they know that they either understood it or they need to make corrections. All right, planning and preparing materials. So for science, this is my favorite part besides the teaching part. So I like to plan at least 2 weeks of content, and I'm glad my teammate does too, because we work together really well on this. And I prepare my materials at least a day ahead, not the day of. It's very stressful. And I store my materials in tubs or in book bins. And I have some pictures in a moment to show you those. So when I'm planning, I use Grow, which is just a process that I've made. So G for goals and objectives, R relevance and connections, O for options, and W for work. And you always start with your standards. So you can, oh yeah, the goal is to plan 2 weeks worth of lessons in 2 class periods or less, which is what we do every time. So step 1 is, what are the standards and objectives? What do you want your students to learn? You can even go over your assessments at that time. That's a very good idea. Then you're not cramming it at the end. Then the next step is to brainstorm. What I do literally is I go through our book, our computer part of our resource, what I have, I list everything. And then I kind of figure out how we're going to teach it. So we do the 5E, so we're placing it in certain spots, and then we just write it in our calendar, and then we have 2 weeks done at least. So once we have the planning piece done and we know what we're going to be teaching each day or what activities they're doing, we prepare materials. So we make our copies ahead of time. Our district, we're very fortunate. We have something called Print Shop where we can submit our order and they print it for us and they deliver it to us. So that's very helpful. I use the IKEA tubs, the Trofast tubs, to store my materials. Book bins hold my papers for each day of the week. And I thought I had some pictures, but I don't. Sorry. They're in another video. I will link all these videos below and you can see all these other things. All right. And the next thing is to set aside time to check your email. Now, like I said earlier, I check my email in the morning. I check it throughout the day, but I'm not necessarily responding throughout the day. I don't want to miss if something important comes through from like my principal or maybe a parent wanting to tell me something about their kid. So I do check, I have my email open, but I'm not obsessed with it. I wait till the end of the day for any responses. and how to work when the students are working. So this is not sitting at your desk, doing your work, that sort of thing, okay? Our job as teachers is to monitor our students, to teach them, make sure they're learning, make sure they're on task, like all those things. So one idea that I have when they're working independently is maybe walk around. So while you're monitoring your students, have your clipboard and you can observe students and make notes. Maybe you've been thinking of a student, they're not doing very well with something, and then just jot down some notes, or like a behavior, then you want to email a parent, jot down those notes. You can write down ideas for lessons and activities. So if you're anything like me, you have all these ideas pop up, but not at the right time when you're like, I can't write this down right now. So write it down while you're monitoring your students, and gather things that you need, or clean like an area of your classroom as you walk by it. So for example, I'll be walking around watching my students, and I'll be in one corner of the room by these lab tables, and I need some materials in there for tomorrow's lab. So I'll grab those and put them over where I store my stuff. And then I'll keep walking. Or you can, quickly clean off, like pick up the trash or whatever that the class left behind, that kind of thing. But you're monitoring your students is the main thing. You're just picking up stuff on the way as you monitor, or jotting things down as you're monitoring. That's one way to work while students are working. All right, so we went over 5 tips to do your work at work. So the first one is to batch your to-do list and schedule them. So schedule it in batches. So you're grading on certain days, you're planning on certain days, you're preparing ahead of time, that sort of thing. Grading at least twice a week, and not grading everything because it gets very overwhelming and it piles up fast. Oh, another grading tip that I forgot to mention is when you're grading projects, you can grade as the students are presenting. Okay, plan and prepare your materials ahead of time. And if you plan at least 2 weeks in advance, then you have just a better idea of what you're doing. You can get those materials ready. Check your emails at a set time each day. For me, that works best in the morning. Throughout the day, just checking, but responding in the afternoon. And while you're supporting and monitoring your students, you can complete very simple tasks as you do that. All right, it is your turn. So what tip do you think will help you solve your biggest problem with time management in the classroom first? So that's the thing I want you to work on. For me, it was grading. And so that's why I scheduled it for 2 days a week. So work on that for a week by scheduling it and being intentional. Work on it during the times that you schedule. And once you get consistent with that, go ahead and try another tip, and then schedule that in, and then be consistent, work on that. Now, if it doesn't work out, switch it. It's okay. Don't give up. Okay, you can do this. You got this. I believe in you. I would love for every teacher to do their work at work and not bring stuff home, because that would help us stay more sane, right? So go ahead and try those things, and check out some of these other videos about time management or lesson planning. I have a ton of things on my channel. Okay, and I'll see you next time.